here, and I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end, and it might be better if you're muted on your phone or on your computer throughout the meeting, and then if you have a question, you just unmute yourself at any time and just ask. Certainly want this to be interactive. And like I mentioned in the email that I had sent out, we had a group down at the PGA show that saw a presentation. I know Bob Ford was there, and also Jim Fitzgerald, who's supposed to be on this call, was there. But so they've got a little bit of insight on the program that we're looking at here. And I've been talking with Martin from BPG for over probably a year and a half or so, and learning about what they do and how they do it, and how it's different, I think, than what's been done in the past, and really see an opportunity to bring this to our market, and they operate in the PGA of Canada market, and I'll let him kind of explain what they've done. But they've been around a long time, and Martin has been with the company for I don't know, 7 or 8 years now, and he's really grown it and what they do. And beyond I think, just my opinion, the word buying group kind of can scare some people off, because some of you have probably been involved with it before, but I really believe this is different, and Martin will probably hit on some of those points. But to me, the efficiency that you would get from not only the group being together, but also the proprietary tool that they have, which is really neat, about that gathers all your invoices into one spot, and Martin will probably show you that. So anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Martin Boucher from BPG. And Martin, thanks for taking the time to enlighten us on this.
Thanks, Patrick. I guess I'd like to start by thanking everyone for taking the time this morning to listen to what we have to say. I'm hoping that this will be very good and beneficial for everyone. So I'll start off by giving you a little bit of history on what I do. I've been in the golf business for many, many years. I'm 48 years old. All I've ever done is golf. I was a golf professional in my early 20s, worked in some golf retail, and then worked actually for Ping Golf Equipment for 15 years before I moved on to BPG here in 2010. So to give you a little idea of who BPG is, basically BPG is a buying group of golf professionals in Canada. So this business is owned 100% by these golf professionals. So it is not owned by any independent party. It is operated, you could say, as a co-op, and everything that we make over and above whatever we give back, everything goes to our golf professionals. So nothing goes directly into anybody else's pocket but the golf professional. We have right now 145 members across the country, from coast to coast, so from Vancouver to Atlantic Canada. And in our bylaws is very, very strict, is that we only deal with accounts that employ PGA of Canada professionals that manage operations. So we're here owned by professionals, but we're here for and to help professionals. In Canada, we deal with 45 or so vendors. Now, vendors in Canada are a little different, or suppliers, than they are in the U.S. We have a lot of distributors that sell multiple different brands. So to give you an idea, we have a company called G&G Golf that does Travis Matthew. They do a cart company. They do Sundog Eyewear. They do a bunch of different companies. So for us, that's one vendor agreement, where in the U.S. they'd probably be about 5 or 6 vendor agreements. So it makes it a little easier for us, a little less paperwork, but it gives us all the product we have and that we need. And then, of course, we offer many services, which I'll go through fairly quickly. And our business right now in Canada is about $40 million. Knowing that number, to give you an idea, from every study I've seen in Canada versus US is about 10 times bigger, whether it's population, number of golf courses, number of private facilities, you name it, everything here should be times 10. So if we have 145 of the right golf professionals in Canada, there's probably over 1,000 of the top facilities in the US that would make sense, for probably somewhere, I would say somewhere around $300 to $400 million worth of business. So, sorry, What we do is very easy, and I'll be very simple on it. My job and our job here at BPG is to help the golf professional to simplify his job. The concept is to get you guys out of the office and spend less time on the administrative side of things, and basically do what you need to do as a golf professional to promote your game. So we offer a simplified accounting. We offer the services the membership requires, not what we want to offer, but what the golf pros ask us to offer. And of course, we give them a higher payment discount and rebates to increase profitability. So again, simplicity is what we do. So I'm going to take a few minutes to show you through our website and what we do. So every invoice that we get, and I guess let me go through here first. So this is our website that we use. As soon as you are in, you log in. So this is our member side. So everything you see down the left side are services and things that we offer. So again, member profile, this is for a member to update. Any news and announcements, like this Caddy is our newsletter that comes out. That comes out quarterly. We have a blog that the membership can use to exchange information. We have a trade-in program and a liquidator that helps us liquidate inventory at year end. The Caddy basically is all of our newsletters. eShipper is an agreement we have, with a shipping company. So if you want to ship product, instead of going direct to UPS or a FedEx, which you may be a very small account and pay a lot of freight, we use this third-party shipper who helps us reduce our costs. And then we do the same thing with Gran and Toy, which is office supplies. I'm not sure if you have Gran and Toy in the US, but it'd be an Office Max, basically. We have a supplier directory, which is very helpful for everybody. So once you click in here, all of our vendors are listed. And then once you click on your vendor, so I'll give you an idea. So you click on Callaway, you will always have the Callaway head office address and information, which is up here. And then you'll have all the sales reps and territories with their contact information. So very easy for you to use and to maneuver through that site. Next tab is My Invoices, which I'll skip for a little second, but then we have BPG policies, which are terms and conditions, everything you need to know about BPG. And then these are different things that we do off. We have our own trade show, so this is our registration form for a show, different documents and pictures that we offer. But what is really simple and what helps the golf professional is the invoicing part of things. So before I even go there, let me, so invoicing, we go through, I am going to say 60,000 invoices per summer. You guys individually go through quite a few of them. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort and energy. What we do at BPG, we've come up with a system that basically we've designed through an EDI platform. This is what our invoices look like from all of our vendors. So every invoice that comes in looks like this. It has H for a head. H for a header that's up here. Tells you who it came from. So this one's from Cutter and Buck, and there's their address. It went to Dean Brown, which is our one of our accounts in Regina, Saskatchewan. And then all the information of the invoice. And then down here in the description, it says, okay, this one was just an embroidery development charge, 1 unit each at $75. This creates an invoice for our vendors so we can pay, and it creates an invoice for our member to pay us. It makes it very simple, but what it really does for us is it actually helps us go through, I'm going to say, 2,000 invoices a day will take us an hour to process. Where if you're doing manual invoicing, 2,000 will probably take, full staff quite a few days to get done. So it's simplified everything that we do. So what you get from it is what I'm going to show you here. So once you log in, you'll log into your invoicing. Now, keep in mind that this is live. So actually, Let me hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I get this done. There we go.
While you're doing that, Martin, I just want to let everybody know that if you have any questions, you can actually type them in through the chat if you're logged in on the online, and we can try to answer them as we go.
Okay, I actually don't see it, but if you can help me through it,
I'll get them. I'll get them if they type them in, and I'll bring them up.
So I guess as I'm restarting this, just to give you a little feedback on a few things. I know that many of you have worked with different buying groups. What is unique about our buying group, number one, and I've told Patrick this, and I told the group that I met in Orlando, it's very simple. It is owned by the golf professional for the golf professional. Everything we do is extremely transparent. We do not hide anything. Everything that we do is audited by Deloitte every year. We share our financials with everyone. There's absolutely nothing to hide anywhere. And that is one of the huge keys. The other key to our business is pretty simple. It is, the fact that, I'm just trying to get back here. The fact that because it's owned by the golf pros, it's for the golf pros. We're not offering anything that's different, and we're not hiding anything, and we're making sure that you get exactly what you need and when you need it. There we go. So when a member gets onto his website, so he logs in, up here you will have normally your golf club name or your facility, the period of the statement, how much is due, for which month, for which vendors, and which invoices. So everything is listed for everything you need to pay. So whether it comes in from Adidas up here, or Callaway, or Nike, or a Cushnet, Cobra Puma Golf, Lacoste, you name it, they're all up here. So if you're in your shop and you're receiving product, and let's say you're getting in something from, let's look through this real quickly. Let's say it's Cobra Puma Golf. Well, and you can look in here and try and find your Cobra Puma Golf, which will show here your packing slip number in this column, your PO number if you gave one here, who it came from, and this is our BPG number. But the simplest way to do it is if you click on anything that's in this green line. So if I click on supplier, it puts everything alphabetical. So I can easily go in and say, well, here are my Cobra Pumas. Here's my packing slip numbers. I can select the one I'm looking for. So let's say it's this one here. I will select it. I'll go view or print invoice, and it'll show me the invoice. So it shows me the invoice, who it's billed to, which would be yourself, who it's shipped to. It'll give you the Cobra Puma Golf invoice number. So if ever there's a discrepancy in the quantity, or you got short shipped, or it wasn't what you needed, whatever it is, you can always phone back Cobra Puma Golf and say, hey, on invoice 171454, I was short shipped. So it'll give you your amount, shipping fees, and then in Canada we do have taxes on it for a total amount to pay. This is your BPG invoice number, but again, this is the Cobra Puma invoice number that's related to it. Once that's done, normally I would take this, I would take my packing slip, and if you remember on this invoice, it told you, well, the cost of this product, I believe, was $96. So I could write on my packing slip, okay, $96, $12.04 in freight, and I could say on it, okay, now I'm going to charge it to Mr. Smith, and on chip number XYZ. In a perfect world, you don't need to print this. Most companies or most guys would print it, staple it to their packing slip, and say, okay, this one's taken care of, I can pay the bill. But if you just write the info on your packing slip, You don't need to print it. You can save some trees, save the environment, but make it a little more cost effective. What you do here is this one that's selected. If I go mark as verified, it's going to go through the system. It's going to take that invoice that we looked at. Let me put it back here in order, sorry. So Cobra Puma Golf, there's that invoice, and now it has a little X beside it. So it means it's verified. You see all the X's means this golf pro has gone through all these and he's verified. At the end of the month, he's going to want to make sure that these are all verified before he pays us. So you can always sort everything here. And if ever you make a mistake, and I'll say again, this is live, so I'm going to actually select it, and I'm going to go mark as not verified to take the X out so I don't mix up our director. But you can look at this at the end of the month. You can go here, display all invoices. You're going to say display the invoices not verified only. So if I do that, then I know what I still have to look at. So I got to make sure that I have all these products, that I've received them, that I've put them into my software, and then I'm ready to pay the bill. So again, you can show the ones that are just verified, that are not verified, to show all invoices. You can also, when you're searching, you can search by vendor. So you can come up here and say, you know what, just show me the Callaway invoices, because I'm working on a couple Callaway. Well, all I have is one invoice in the month of June. There it is. I can select it and do whatever I like with it. And again, you can come up here and show all invoices. At the end of the month, we will send you a statement that ends the month, and then your payment is due off your statements. So we don't ask our members to pay us by invoice. We ask them to pay us once a month for the total amount of the statement less their payment discount. So for these accounts, I'll give you an idea. So for this gentleman, Yves Tremblay, it's about 94% of what he gets in his shop is invoiced through here. It's one payment. He does direct online banking, sends us the money, and 95% of what he does is paid for. It's simple, it's easy, and it's all in one spot. And these invoices are updated twice a day, every day, 365 days a year. So we've been working with this system for quite a few years now. We've made some improvements, but at the end of the day, the membership loves the way it works. They own the business, so if we need to improve something, they will let us know. But as far as we know right now, this is the simplest and easiest way to manage the business for the golf professional and for ourselves here. So I don't know if there's any questions you guys may have about the invoicing side of things, because that's a big part of what we do. Again, I know you guys spend a lot of time, and your staff spends a lot of time trying to figure this out every month and trying to keep up to speed on all this, but this is definitely a much easier way to do business. I'm not sure if you have any questions before I move on.
I haven't had any that have come through, but if somebody has anything they want to offer or any question, just you can speak up or type it in.
Yeah, this is Jim Fitzgerald. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jim.
Yep, I heard.
So every month there's a statement. You don't pay anything until we've verified it, right?
You verify it, and then we will send you at the end of the month, we'll send you a statement, and then we expect you to pay, like in Canada, the payment terms are 2% the 15th of the following month. So we expect you guys to come out and pay the full amount, less the 2%. And again, to simplify it on terms and conditions, if you look at this gentleman here, he's got 14,000 hours so far in June. Well, his payment terms will be that 14,000 less 2%. Normally, payment discounts, you'll have to subtract any tax or freight and then take a payment discount off that. We take it off the top number. So make it a little simpler. And then we'll apply it to your statement. What we do, and this is probably one of the most important things, we have 145 of these, and it adds up, as I said earlier, to about 40 million. But our staff here at BPG is 3 people. So that is all we need to manage this company. Now, why can we do that? Because we expect everyone to pay every invoice. So I understand, and I was a golf pro, was in the business. You may have, hey, somebody shipped me a wedge, they shipped me a left hand instead of a right hand, or they shipped me the wrong model, whatever it is. In a perfect world, when you're an independent, you may say, I'm not going to pay this invoice until the credit comes in. I'll hold off, and then I'll pay it later. For us, we would prefer that you pay the whole statement. And if you need help getting the credit, we will get involved and we'll help you. But if we have to subtract 2, 3, 4, 5 invoices per statement times 150, then I'm going to need to hire a couple more people. If I do that, then it's going to take off of your rebate and off your payment discounts, because everything that we do costs money. But if we can simplify it, then you guys make more money at the end of the year.
And Martin, you may have just answered this, but and Jim, we can get back to you. But I did get a question in from Cameron Doan. I think you may have touched on it right there, but he said, what happens when the vendor makes a mistake, for example, ships the wrong driver, and we need it fixed quickly? In other words, how do we maintain leverage on the vendor?
So when there is a mistake, again, as I just said, I would prefer that you pay the invoice. If it's a large amount and it's going to affect your cash flow, like I'll give you an example. Royal Montreal ordered, I'm not sure how many thousands of range balls, and they all shipped the wrong ones. While Royal Montreal did not want to pay the invoice, I understand that. As long as they let me know before I pay the company, so I pay a Acushnet, then that's fine. If it's a small amount, I would prefer you do it. But you can imagine that when we deal with millions and millions with a Acushnet, when I phone them for a credit, it comes in quick. And my job is to help you. And therefore, if you're looking for a credit and you need help, that's why we're here. So we hope that we have more leverage than you do on your own to get those credits in quickly.
Okay, so in this case, and then kind of the answer to that would be, reorder the driver. You'll work with the company to get the credit, and there's more leverage there because of the quantity, I guess.
The volume, yeah, for sure.
Cameron, does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah, that answers it. Thanks.
Okay.
Any
this
other
is Sam
questions?
Wiley. Martin, this is Sam Wiley. So the only discounts we would receive is it would be the 2% paid by the 15th of the month. That's the discount on the total volume. Is that how I understood that?
Actually, I will show you what the discounts and rebates are in a minute. So I just want to show you the invoicing side of things here.
It'll be more than that, Sam. I think once you get through the final. Yeah. Good question.
How about the tax, like the tax consequences and so forth, like as you were describing in Canada? Are there any issues with us in the U.S. as far as kind of the back and forth on invoicing and payments back and forth to you guys from our vendors?
So if I'm correct, from business to business in the U.S., there is no tax, right? There's no retail tax, right?
Correct. Right, for retail, yeah.
Then there is no issue whatsoever. So we just take out the tax on those invoices. That's all.
Yeah, and Sam, just to give you an idea of if this moves forward, there would be a separate entity in the United States, so it wouldn't we wouldn't be dealing with a company in Canada.
Right. Got it.
That's right.
Any other questions?
Isn't that right, Martin? Am I right in saying that, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let me move forward.
One more here, Jim Fitzgerald. Just what if credits exceed invoices owed?
Then we will write you a check. So we expect to get paid the 15th of the following month. We will pay you on that same principle. So you never are in a credit position and say, well, hey, over the winter season, then I'm in a credit position with company X or Y. In our contracts, we will pay you back, and our vendors will pay us back. So a good thing is if you have a guaranteed sale program with company X or Y, normally they'll keep your account in a credit position until the next season starts off. Well, for us, we will pay you back, and if you want to walk away from it, you can because of the agreements that we have with all the vendors.
Anybody else have anything before we move on? Great.
Okay, so let me move back here. So again, we simplify accounting. We offer different communications, social media. We actually have an online corporate catalog for our membership that we do. Basically, we design it through a company here in Canada. So I know Patrick has dealt with them. But our corporate catalog is basically, we call it an idea book. So it doesn't show specific product. It shows the idea that, hey, if my membership is looking for corporate ideas, I can help. So that's something that we offer. Talked a little bit about the e-shipper service to trade in directories, and we do have a golf show and events and golf tournament that we host here in Canada. The dollars and cents of it are here. So in Canada, because it's very seasonal, our members normally is about 61 to 65% of what they purchase in the year is shipped in the spring. So what we do is we have a spring booking order where if a guy buys, as I said earlier, let's say it's 500 grand at wholesale per year, well, his spring or initial order will probably be about 300,000. Well, that 300,000, if paid by May 15th, we'll give him 3.5% on it. So that is straight off the top. So if it's 300 grand, I take 3.5%. So there's just over $10,000. He sends us a check for $289.5, and he's all paid for, and he just made $10,000 off the total amount. And then, as I said, for all the other months, the repeat orders are 2% the 15th of the following. The only other term that we have are demos and rentals. Because we're seasonal here, we've negotiated that every vendor is the same, and they're due October 15th. Now, the U.S. would have to be different with the Southern Belt, but those are definitely things that we can negotiate. So to give you an idea, if you guys do Titleist rental sets or demo sets, here in Canada, it's 150 days net is what an independent account gets. For us, our member could bring it in Jan 1. He won't have to pay for it till October 15th. So it's a lot more than 150 days. But that payment discount goes straight to you guys at the time of payment. The average in Canada is about 3%. So a bit more on 3.5 on the booking and 2% on the rest. They average out to about 3%. The rebates.
Martin, before you go on, we had a question I think we should talk about. Cameron asked about are the big vendors already on board for U.S., Acushnet, Callaway, etc.? How is the relationship between golf professionals and vendor/sales rep affected? And I'll just speak to that before Martin does. Our plan, should this move forward, is that we would get a certain number of I would say the right accounts in the U.S. before Martin was to approach the U.S. companies on that, and that's part of what we're doing here is to introduce this, and then hopefully get a quantity of individuals that are on board where Martin can then approach those companies through his contacts. I would say they're the same position that they have in Canada, which have a relationship with the guys in the U.S., which and I'm not trying to speak out of turn here, Martin, but I think they really like what they have with BPG. So the guy at Titleist knows that this is a big benefit for him. He's going to recommend that to his U.S. counterpart that this is something they should do. So that's the approach there. And then with the relationship between golf professional and vendor sales rep, Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean there's no change there. I mean you still have the same relationship with the vendor. It's just that your account flows through BPG. Am I right in saying that?
That is correct. There's no change for you guys. You guys still purchase the same way. The only thing that changes is you never talk about terms and rebates. Everything goes through the company, but everything else, your players packages, any other discounts, baker's dozen, whatever programs you may have, those stay the same. There's no changes there. As it relates to the vendors, like I was telling Patrick, I went to a dinner last night. They inducted Bob Vokey into the Canadian Golf Hall of Fame last night, and I was sitting and chatted with the guys from Acushnet TaylorMade, and Peter Broom, who's VP in the U.S., was there, and he definitely knows exactly who we were, who we are today. He is very impressed, loves his partnership with us, and I'm guaranteed that going forward, I'm certain that the relationship and the history that we have in Canada will funnel through the U.S. So we've been around here for 36 years. We have never missed a payment to our vendors in 36 years, and the relationship and partnerships are very strong with all brands. So every major account is with us, every major vendor, and do I see any issues going into the U.S.? No major issues. There might be a couple guys holding off, but at the end of the day, it's in their benefit to do business with the top golf professionals in the U.S. I hope that answers your question, and then I will come back to a couple of things on that a little later. But I do want to show you, this is just the payment terms. So on the payment terms, I want to say this, and most of what you guys get, I would say on the apparel side and even some of the hard goods side, you could probably get net 30, 60, or 90 days on your orders. A lot of them don't have payment discounts. The advantage to our group is, let's say you buy 20 grand worth of Peter Millar and it's net 60 days. Well, with us, you'll average out 3% payment discounts. That's 3% more than you've ever gotten. Here in Canada, Acushnet doesn't give more than 2% payment discount. With us, they'll average 3%, and so on. So the overall package of what you purchase gives you a lot more in your payment discounts, which is a huge advantage. So we'll look at numbers, but at the end of the year, what we show you guys is a report that looks like this. So every account will get this at the end. It's called Summary Rebates. It has every vendor that you deal with.
Mark, can you zoom in on that any? Can you just blow that up any? Through your browser? If you can.
I'm looking, trying to see, but...
If not, you can just talk through it.
Yeah, no, I can't really blow it up, unfortunately. But the vendors that you'll deal with are here. The dollars and cents you've spent with everybody before tax and freight is here. And then the negotiated rebate percentage is here. So you get a percentage of rebate from $1. So I'll give you an idea. So in a Acushnet here, this account purchased $168,000 of a Acushnet. You get a 2% rebate, which equates to $3,300. Now, he is also a FootJoy exclusive glove and shoe, and therefore got an additional directly from Acushnet $4,100. So that's how his line worked. Now, unfortunately, Acushnet, and I'm sure it's the same in the U.S., if you're purchasing product that is demos, rentals, personal use, anything that's not a regular price, it does not accumulate rebates. Therefore, it says here 0% rebate. So he bought $33,000 of this product. So if you add all these, this account purchased $749,000 in the fiscal year. His rebate was $20,000. And we have a bonus structure in Canada that if you purchase more than $600,000, we give him a 1% bonus. So in his case, that's another $7,400. So his total rebate was $27,500. What's on the side here is what comes over and above that directly to him. So as I said earlier, if you're an exclusive brand here in Canada, you'll get more. In Adidas, if you are I think it's called a strategic partner or a diamond account, then you'll get more than our basic 3%. And if you're, same thing, if you're in a Callaway, a +1 program here in Canada, you'll get another additional amount. Same thing in Cobra, Puma, and then a little bit more here as well in Nike. Any questions on that? So on this account, he would have generated over $40,000 in rebates for that year. Now, $27,000 through us, and then $12,000 directly to him from the vendors. So it's important to look at this number here, this $27,000. So if I go to my next slide, so here's that $27,000 that I was telling you about. So that's his rebate for 2016. So The other amount here, this $26,000, that is how much he took in payment discounts for the year. So he took 26 grand, he got 27 in rebates. There's 53 or 54,000 plus what he got direct is how much he saved in the year. So you guys can do your math. We can do some examples. We can plug in some numbers for you guys in spreadsheets, but that is the principle here in Canada. Now, the way we work, and just to explain this sheet, the business, as I said, is owned by the golf professionals. So if this is to move on in the U.S., the only way it works is if you guys own it. I don't own it. GBN doesn't own it. Nobody else owns it but the PGA of America golf pros that join it. Now, to start it off, you do need money, and you do need money to operate the company. So the way we do it in Canada is that rebate, this $27,000 in rebate, we will give back to this member 3 years later. So he leaves his rebate inside the company for 3 years to help us create a cash flow and an investment in the company. And then we'll give it back to them at the end of the year plus interest. This payment discount he took off his payment, that's fine, he gets right away. What he got direct from vendors that I talked earlier, this $12,000, he gets this direct every year. But the $27,000 will be held back for 3 years inside the company. So that is this member's investment. You see below it, it says interest. So interest, in theory, very simple, it's profit sharing. So whatever we make at the end of the year over and above the rebates that we give back and the payment discounts, we add that up and give it back to the membership in the form of interest on their investment. The only thing that stays in the company is a minimal amount, and everything is given back to its membership every year. So in this case, in 2016, we gave 14% interest on these guys' investments. So it has been very good. Now, in 2010, when I showed up, the average rebate was probably anywhere from 3 to 4%, or the interest, I should say. As we've expanded, the interest rate has gone up and up and up. In the last 4 years, it's averaged 13.5%, which is something you can't get anywhere. I'm sure you guys all know that. Why we looked at this and said maybe it's a good model for the U.S., well, as we get bigger, the interest rate got bigger. Well, the same thing can happen in the U.S. So the principle is simple. We offer great payment discounts. We simplify your accounting. We offer you services. The rebates that you get, we give you, but we'll give you 3 years down the road. Now, we could say, hey, to start this off, everybody who joins has to invest 20 grand, whatever it is. That's a different way to do it. It could work, but it's tougher to get 20 grand out of everybody's pocket. This way, by leaving the money in there, it's a lot easier. It's an investment that's just deferred, and you actually make money off of it. And who manages it? You do. The U.S. company owned by Golf Professional manages the company. So that is what works here, and I'm sure that is what would work in the U.S. I'm sure there's got to be questions on this.
Martin, just so, and I'm sure there will be some questions, but with this gentleman here, the 2014 payment he would be receiving this year, and it looks like he had $24,000 in. He's going to get a $34,000 check, a $35,000 check, right?
Yeah, we have our annual meeting is in October every year. So yes, this gentleman would get $24,899, whatever that is.
34,000, right? Because he got 10%, or he got
yes,
10
34.
Grand.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
34,000. Yes.
So his 24 in 3 years, he made 10 on it. Okay, I got it.
Exactly. So the way we calculate the interest, if you look at this in 2016, the 13,000, I told you the interest rate was 14%. The interest rate was based on his 2013 numbers that we had. So we took 2013, 14, and 15, added that up, times 14% gave us 13,000. So it's always the 3 previous years of rebates and interest times the interest rate is what we give out. Any questions on that?
So, Martin, this is Sam Wiley.
Yes, Sam.
So tell me how the profit is again generated.
Well, you know what? Let me show you what I've done as a forecast if this was to work in the U.S. Okay, so let me show you this. So the way it operates, it's pretty simple. There's the revenue from the business. So I base this if the U.S. would have 40 vendors. I wrote here 4 of the 6 majors. If there's 100 members or 100 golf pros that join in, ballpark would be about a $25 million business if we average it out to about $250,000 in purchases per member. The management fees for your company normally is about 1.2%. But if you look at the expenses here, basically, let me jump to you. We have averaged out in the last 10 years. Sorry, you broke up.
Management administrative. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's the administrative cost.
Yeah, that's that would be. And I'll just touch on that, Sam. I think that's where your administrative costs, like the individuals that are processing invoices, managing the business. Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So just just to summarize, 8% is the average of what we get off that 25 million. We've been in and around 8%, between 7.95 and 8.2 over the last 8 years. What we give back on average is about 6%. So that's usually about 3% in payment, 3% in rebate. So there's that 1.5 million, which is 6% of this. So your expenses, which is your administration fees, bank fees, call it yearly audits, other expenses, and I put in here basically the idea for BPG and GBN to get this going is, there would be an annual fee or royalty, if you want to call it, and we can discuss that afterwards. But if you look at this, then you look at your revenue, $2 million. In Canada, we have 2 different types of members. So this is one thing that I think makes a lot of sense in the U.S. as well. But we have 2 types. We have a member shareholder that's voting, which is a golf pro who owns his own shop. So those guys become shareholders of, call it the BPG USA. If you're not a owner of your own shop in Canada, you can be a member. You get the same benefits, same everything, but instead of being a shareholder voting, you pay an entry fee to get in, and that's all. So that is what this 25 entry fees at $2,500 is, which would be an average of what we normally do. If somebody doesn't pay their bills on time, there's always a little bit of interest that's paid, which becomes revenue, and this would be your total revenue. Year 1, there wouldn't be much, 47,000 hours. There'd be no interest because nothing has been accumulated in the past. We would normally say, hey, you should put aside some money for provision for bad debt and leave a small profit in the company. If you go to year 2, just to go quickly, if you add 50 vendors, you become 150 members, you get to 40 million, average out a little more per member. That there's a 1.2 which comes in effect of your management fees, your expenses, your 6%, your 8%. Now you're making 135,000. Now you're going to pay interest on those year 1 rebates you accumulated. So if you average at 5%, that's worth 37,000. There's 100 left. You put more in provision, more in profits. If you keep going down, year 3, keep going up a little bit, same principle. You're making another 100,000, more provision. So after 3 years, I see this company having 200 grand in provisions for bad debt, having 37,000 hours in unpaid earnings, but also now having 3.8 million in rebates or investment from the membership. That is your cash flow. That is how you pay every bill on time. That is how you make your vendors happy to negotiate better terms and conditions. These numbers to start off are not necessarily the highest interest rates. They're not everything great, but they're secured and they are easy to maintain and they simplify your business. But if you look at a 10-year projection, I'm sure you would have easily 600 members, most of the vendors you want, probably about a $250 million business. You'd generate $18 million in expenses, but $20 million in revenues with the same principle. You'd make almost $2 million. Now you can offer 9%, which equates to $1.6 million, and you'd still have 145 grand in profit. You could have estimated, let's call it 800 grand in provision for bad debt, which is probably too high. You could throw that into unpaid earnings. You could increase your rebates, and you would have in your bank account in the U.S. 19 million in unpaid rebates for 3 years. So that is the principle that we deal with. It's worked, and as long as you stick with the right people, the right professionals, you have unity, solidarity, you stick together, then it works. Now, in Canada, we only deal with the high-end private tier 1 facilities, and mostly that are equity facilities. We would never go to resorts. We will not go to public or any risk golf courses. At the end of the day, I'm sure all of your golf courses are not in trouble. They're not going to be going into receivership. They're not issues for anyone in the golf industry. Well, those are the people we're looking for. So if those people happen, then this makes it very profitable for everyone.
Martin, a couple questions that came across. One is that in the U.S., and I'm not sure if you have it up there, but how is Retirement Plus affected? I remember we talked about that at one point, but there's the a retirement benefit that they would receive through some vendors. Do you know how that would be affected?
It wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
So these are always separate negotiations, and whether it's the retirement or whether it's your programs or your personal use product, that does not get affected. This is strictly on the invoicing side of it. That's all. Okay.
And then follow up to that, your comment about having the right people and who has control of that, and I know how you're going to answer that, but how are new members brought in?
So the principle is, here in Canada, we've been doing this for 36 years. It's been going great. When Patrick and I started talking, we realized that through Patrick, together, we can find those top facilities. So it's a one-by-one. It's using you people and you guys to say, hey, where do we need to go? How do we bring people in? But it's word of mouth. It's getting people in that makes sense for you. Again, never forget that this is your business. This is not mine. This is not Patrick's. This has to be owned by you guys. So I think it's something that's fairly easy to get membership. When the numbers make sense, the risk is calculated, and the profitability is there, and it saves you a lot of time, effort, and energy. In Canada, it's a no-brainer. We say no more often to golf facilities than yes, because we're trying to keep that same list of those top facilities in the country.
So the answer and just to be clear on that, the right people and who has control of that, it's the board, right? Which we may not have, kind of talked about that. They have a board of directors. It's all members of PGA PGA of Canada members. So the group that's on this phone call, really, that's why I kind of invited certain people here that this would be maybe the basis of a board, and certainly that board, I think, would have control over new members that came in, and I think, Martin, you guys have a pretty strict policy on how you bring them in and who they're vetted out, their credit history and things like that, right?
For sure. I mean, we do our due diligence, but at the end of the day, I manage it for the golf professionals. I report to a board of directors of 9 golf professionals from across the country. Basically, it's their business, right? So they decide where it goes, and we make sure that it's done properly. The principle can definitely work the same way, but to start off in the U.S., I think if Patrick or some of you guys want to get together and start it off, it's a long shot. If I want to start it off in the U.S. and I own it, you guys won't join. The only way it's going to work is if you own it and you manage it, and it's going to work doing that. Now, how will it work? I think with the help of GBN, then we can get the right people on board. With our help, expertise, programs, and models and softwares, and especially the history that BPG has in Canada, then it's a lot easier to manage the business and to get the vendors on board.
Yeah.
But
and
definitely...
that might be touching on the next question that Sam Wiley had. Is there anything that would prohibit us from doing this as PGA professionals? Sam, I'm not sure if you're saying why wouldn't we do this, on our own? And I think what Martin's point there is that, you would do it, but it would take you a lot longer to get here, and you would eventually end up with somebody probably like Martin, managing it. So this is just probably a quicker way to get there. And I don't know if that was your question.
Well, no, it's more because, I've talked about this many years going back to the original AMF and so forth and I've talked to Kevin Whitson at Royal County Down. They do this over there, but I'd always been told, and I never obviously dug into it as far as like legalities or again, obviously I know there's retailers that are doing this as buying groups, that there was just something that I kept hearing over and over again as far as why we couldn't do it over here. It's not
something within the bylaws of the PGA of America, you're saying?
Yeah, or something along those lines. And again, I never had any true definition of why that might not happen. But that was the genesis of that question. That's all.
Gotcha.
I think this makes all the sense in the world in many ways.
Sure.
But it's going to take time to get the vendors and the professionals and obviously Martin's expertise. But I think these type of things could be really big home runs for us. Using our leverage.
Yeah, and that's something for me. I'll look into that. I can't think of anything right offhand, but it's a good question. And then Jim Fitzgerald was asking, so it takes 3 years to receive the first rebates over above the discount savings we get through BPG and the vendors. And Martin, I'll let you answer it, but yes. And the reason being is that funds the business, the investment back into the business. But Martin, you can touch on that.
Yeah, that is the way to fund it. Like I said, if you guys all want to join in and throw in $100,000 to get this business going, then hey, that's great. But I don't think anybody wants to do this. This is the easy way to do business and to start it off. And definitely it's the best way to do it. Now, to say why is there not a buying group like this in the U.S., I'll be very honest with you. The number one reason is if you don't start with a group of professionals as yourself to go to the main vendors and say, hey, we're a group, we're sticking together, we'd like to negotiate a vendor agreement, they're not going to listen if there's 4 of you, if there's 10 of you, or 20 of you. But if it's 100 or 200 of the top facilities in the country, then you know what, whether it's Chip Brewer or whether it's Peter Broom, doesn't matter who it is, Callaway, Titleist, TaylorMade, they will listen. They will listen to you guys as a group a lot more than they will individually. And that is the strength of our group here in Canada.
Follow-up question from Jim was, any legal issues with being restrictive on who can come on board? I can't imagine, because you're making you're an investor in the company. And just like anything else, I think you would have to be, I don't know that there would be any legal issues, but Martin, can you speak to that?
There'd be absolutely no legal. You can always choose who you want to do business with. That will never change. Now, if somebody's in and you want to exclude them, then that's a much touchier subject, and you've got to make sure your bylaws are well written for that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to choosing who you do business with, that's the company's decision. And right now in Canada and in the U.S. would have to be the same. It's the board of directors that decides who the vendors are that we deal with and who the members are that we bring in.
Martin, how would you handle somebody that joins the group and then leaves within the first 3 years?
So within our bylaws in Canada, if you come in and leave, whenever you leave, you'll get your rebates back in that same 3-year deferred payment. If a member comes in and says, okay, I'm leaving, I'm retiring, you guys owe me $80,000, I'd rather have a one lump check right now. 99% of the time, we'll do that. We'll give them the money. but it has to go through and be approved by the board of directors.
Mhm.
But there's no reason why we wouldn't give them their money back. But most of our accounts want to leave it in there because where else can you get 14% on your money?
Right. Okay. So a guy
But at the end of the
retires.
day, it's their business, it's their dollars.
Yeah.
If they want to leave, they can leave. In the last 36 years, we've had one guy leave because he didn't like it. One in 36 years.
And so if somebody retires, then they could either get a lump sum or, let me pay it out over 3 years like you normally would have and gain
Exactly.
the interest on it. Okay. And then you would get your initial whatever let's call it 2,500 that you put in.
Yeah. If you're a shareholder of the company, you buy a share. Well, it's the worth of your share plus your portion of the unpaid earnings in the company, just like any other business that would be that you'd be an owner of.
And then Sam just came in with what percentage of the top vendors are aligned and working with BPG?
Every one of them, no exception.
Okay.
So if you look at all the major club manufacturers, all the high-end apparel companies, men, women, accessories, I don't know anybody that you would consider a major partner of yours that would not be part of our group right now.
And if you guys want to, they can go to your website, right, and see the vendors that you have. There's a vendor list, I think, on the public side of that, right?
There is. The only thing I would say is the vendor list actually has suppliers that you would not know the names, but just because they're distributors here in Canada.
Yeah.
Let me pull up one.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to give them an idea of maybe they could see. But I've looked at it, and I didn't see anybody that was missing from that list. But certainly, I think one thing to remember here is that the model probably would be very similar, but there could be some differences in the U.S. just based on we're in the U.S. and they're in Canada. But I think the general model is what we're looking at. The tool, the way that the invoices are done, but there could be some differences in that. I think that's just important to think about.
Martin and Patrick, this Sam again. The idea, it was just back to the original simplification mission. That makes it easier, obviously, if there are more of our vendors on there, and if Martin could even provide, as I know you say you work with distributorships that maybe encompass many different vendors, but that'd be interesting to know. Just again, a vendor list.
Yeah, we'll
so here's our vendor list, just so you know. So
Oh.
I'll go through it real quick, but Skechers, IC Company, well, down here is the product. So Skechers, Peak Performance, which is apparel. Ahead, you guys would know, Levelwear. This is Viala, Leo Chevalier, so apparel. Dextum is a ladies apparel hero brand. Bag Boys, this Golf Trends actually sells Golf Pride, grips, Bag Boy, and Power Caddies. 34 Heritage is a pen company. M-Crack's a distributor, but he sells Garmin, Nikon, Next Belts, etc. As you can see, distributors carry different brands. This is Cutter and Buck and Annika OGO, which is now actually part of Callaway. Puka, Trimark, which is mostly corporate apparel. Wilson, Callaway Apparel. Daily Sports, Cutler Bags. Click Gear, Carts, Sunite. Yep.
Can we just have this list or a modified version of it that I can send out to these guys?
For sure. I will send it to you.
Yeah.
And what I'll try and do is I'll make sure that in the product lines you guys know exactly which ones they are, right?
Yeah.
But like Miller Golf, it says down here accessories. Well, for us, it's bag tags, towels, umbrellas, logoed caps, and accessory stuff like that.
Right.
But every major vendor, like Nichols Group, is Peter Millar. So you guys would deal with Peter Millar. We have a distributor called Nichols Group. But everyone is there, and if there's somebody that's not part of our group, we form a committee with members from across the country, and they tell us what they'd like to see, and then we'll go and approach them and bring them in. And if there's somebody that doesn't fit the mold anymore, we'll exclude them for the following year. So again, it's the membership, and it's you guys that decide.
Martin, I'm sure a lot of these guys are probably going to have to jump off the call. Is there anything that you want to say kind of in closing?
So here's what I would say is, for this to work, I said many times, it's got to be owned by golf professionals. It's got to start with a strong group, with a sense of ownership. But Patrick and I have talked about this for a while. This is not for tomorrow. This is not for January 1, 2018. I think if there's a reasonable target, we're talking January or February 1, 2019. But I think the next step is if you guys can talk and get together, whether it's through Patrick, and if this is interesting, then I think if we can get together face-to-face, look at the exact numbers, look at bylaws, look at options, look at more of exactly what needs to be done, then we can make that next step to make sure we bring this to fruition in the U.S.
Great.
So again, if you need anything, let us know, but it's pretty simple. If you have questions, I'll give Patrick has my coordinates. Call me anytime, and then we can definitely, it'd be my pleasure to discuss it with all of you.
If anybody has any questions, we can certainly stay on. I just know that everybody's time is, we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, hey, Martin. Yeah, Patrick, this is Simon Buckle.
Hey,
Sorry,
Simon.
I haven't been online. I've just been actually on the golf course. Quick question. You may have answered this and I wasn't paying attention, but, a lot of the golf professionals are losing the golf shops to either the clubs or corporations. Do you see that as an effect on the business model or not?
It definitely affects it, because from the numbers that we have 145 members now. 81 of them own their own shops out of the 145. Those are mostly our best accounts. When somebody has ownership in the shop, it always runs better.
And Martin, those are the owners of the company. That's important to note.
Yes.
The other accounts that don't own their shops are not owners of the company.
They are members.
Do you guys have any issues with the big buying groups like a Club Corp or something? Do you have any issues with that from a profitability to getting them to buy into it standpoint?
We would never let them join our group. Just be Club Corp, like we have here at Club Link in Canada. That's 40 different facilities. While golf is struggling up here in Canada in some places, the risk to the investment that you guys have in this company would be too high to bring in a company like Club Corp within this group. So what we're looking for and what we think makes sense is to have private equity high-end facilities from across the U.S. join. So it's limiting yourselves to the right people.
That makes sense.
I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks, Martin.
Great. Anybody else have any questions they want answered? Yeah, and I'll be sharing Martin's information, and certainly anybody can send me questions, and we'll get them answered, and we're going to continue to research this and see what the next step may be, and really appreciate everybody taking the time here today to view the presentation. I have recorded this, and I'll be sending that out as well if you guys want to revisit this presentation to listen to it again. So, Martin, thank you for your time, and look forward to getting everybody together again soon.
Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time, and again, if there's anything, any questions you may have, let me know or let Patrick know, and I will try and send you as much information as I can in the next week or so.
Great. Thanks, Martin. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Patrick.
Thanks, guys.